Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at another Seiko reissue, and this one is the SLA033, which is the remake of the 6105, otherwise known as the Willard. So the reason that the 6105 is so popular, along with the 62 Moss, is it's one of the first divers that Seiko made that became kind of like a staple in their collection, and it forged the way for future divers to come along. The Turtle and the SKX, for example, they all kind of took shape of the 6105 just from a different take, and they were kind of just evolutions of that design. So the design language of the 6105 still live on today, but just through different watches. And that's kind of why the 6105 is so popular, is because it was kind of like the starting point for Seiko and their entire collection of legendary divers, which they're known for today. So at the time the 6105 came out, the Vietnam War was going on, and many soldiers, especially US soldiers, when they would go to these post exchanges in South Asia, they would find themselves looking for a watch that could take a beating and handle the war environment. So the 6105 was right up there along with the Omega Seamaster and Rolex Submariners at the time. And at the time, the 6105 was only a little bit cheaper than those models. So that kind of gives you reference for where it kind of stood. And despite being so close to the price of these luxury Swiss watches, that lone Seiko diver still sold so much and was very popular among soldiers because it was kind of known as the most robust and well-built watch and a very reliable diver. So that kind of made it popular for the whole war environment, especially with soldiers. That kind of says a lot about their build quality and toughness, and which is why they're still popular today as vintage models. Another reason that this watch is so popular is the movie Apocalypse Now, where Martin Sheen, who played Captain Willard in the movie, wore a 6105, and that kind of started the whole trend of everyone kind of rushing out to go get one because it was portrayed in such a cool way in that movie. And the fact that real soldiers actually bought that watch and then they released it in the media as well, it just drove up the hype drastically, and that's when everyone started rushing to go out and find a vintage 6105. Another reason why this watch is so famous is that Naomi Yumura, who was a very famous explorer, wore this exact watch when he went on many of his expeditions, and he did some crazy stuff. He was a famous explorer who trekked Denali twice. He climbed Mount Everest as part of one of the first Japanese explorers to do it. He climbed Denali solo. He did solo dog sled runs from the North Pole. In 1984, he went missing descending from Denali solo the second time, and ever since then, no one really knows what happened to him or where he ended up. Many people say that he got caught into one of the crevices of the mountain and he got covered in snow, but he did some crazy things. There was a time when he was on the North Pole and a bear snuck into his tent where he was sleeping, and he was with his dogs, and he literally felt the bear poke his nose through the tent exactly where he was sleeping. The next day, the bear came back, and this time Yumura was prepared, and he shot the bear dead with one shot. Even though the bear took all of his food and pretty much destroyed his tent, Yumura shot the bear dead, let the dogs eat the bear as rations, and he used the bear carcass to keep his dogs warm the same night. And then the next morning continued on with his journey, exploring solo. So to know that a watch like this was on the wrist of such an amazing person and it went through so many amazing things. So nonetheless, this is a very legendary watch worn by some very legendary people. So let's go ahead and take a look. So you'll notice the box is white, just like the SLA017 box. It's like this glossy white outer box. And instead of gold Seiko writing, this one has silver. So inside the box, you get the 8L35 and 8L55 instructions manual. So both of their highest end movements are covered in this. And you get the 3-year warranty card right here. And here is the watch box, and this thing just feels so good. This is probably one of the smoothest leathers I've ever felt. It's very soft, very smooth, feels very high quality. Feels much higher quality than my other watch boxes, that's for sure. They really wanted this to stand out as a high-end luxury box. This box feels pretty much equivalent with my Grand Seiko box leather. It's very nice, very high quality. And you get the silver logo up there as opposed to the gold one on the SLA017 box. So inside it just says Prospects with the X logo and then limited edition underneath. And there is the watch, guys. Amazing. So you get on this really soft black leather pillow. Alright guys, and there it is. And this thing has some heft to it. It is a heavy watch. You can really tell that it feels like a very high quality, you know, it has like that luxurious, like weighty feel to it. And you can just see the detail on this one. As a proper SLA reissue, you know, this one is made with all the highest materials, and it's supposed to be kind of like their flagship luxury watch, as opposed to the entry-level beater that their other divers are kind of known to be. When the 6105 was originally released, it was priced right under the Rolex Submariner and the Omega Seamaster in terms of price. And this one being roughly $42.50, as you guys can see on the, you got a Prospex hang tag right there. These are the hang tags. So this one being $42.50 is actually a pretty good price when you consider all that you get, and especially when you compare it with the Omega Seamaster and the Rolex Submariner. And you get the ceramic bezel, you get the Zaratsu polished sides, the 8L35 movement, which is a very robust movement. You get very nice finishing, you know, very high-end steel and very nice materials. Sapphire double domed crystal. This thing just looks beautiful. It just oozes so much quality here, and you can still feel that robustness and that quality that Seiko's kind of known for, and it all still exists in this watch. And I love how the crown is signed with that old school lock. I really love that. Very beautiful brushed steel at top, polished on the sides. The bezel is very beautifully polished as well on the sides, and that bezel looks so amazing in black. It's just very nice, very high quality. And you can see that stop sign seconds hand that they implemented for this model, and you get that same rubber strap that comes on the SLA017. A very nice vintage inspired strap, which I think fits the watch beautifully. I think it just looks so nice and so special. The more that you get into Seikos, the more you get into like the quirky Seikos. And this one with its pillow shaped case, it kind of looks like a leaf. It's like a really quirky design, but the more that you get into these Seiko divers, the more you appreciate stuff like this. And it kind of makes you like these more than the average looking watches. For someone who's a real Seiko collector or a Seiko enthusiast, they will be able to appreciate this far more than the average person who's just into watches. This is a really special design, and there's a reason that it's so valued on the vintage market, and I can totally see why. And you can see those beautiful markers, and they have those borders to them. It just looks very nice. The frame date window, I mean, everything about this looks like a very expensive watch. And this is a limited edition out of 2,500 pieces. So there's the case back. So the only noticeable change you'll see on the dial is that instead of 150 meters, it'll say Divers 200 right there. The buckle on this one is very nicely finished as well. It's like brushed on the edge right there, and the rest is polished. All right, let's get it on wrist and see how it looks. So here it is on wrist. And this is a 45 millimeter case, and because of the case shape, it actually doesn't even look that big. This is on a 6.5 inch wrist, and I think it fits beautifully. I mean, this design is just so iconic. It's just so unique. You won't see any other diver that's kind of shaped like this, and it really stands out. I think it looks beautiful. And that black dial is just so rich. It looks so beautiful. Fits really good. So if any of you are intimidated by the size or the case shape, don't be, because this is on my wrist, which is a very small 6.5 inch. It actually fits, so I'm sure for many of you it will fit perfectly, if not even better. Very cool, very unique watch. I really love this one. Perfect for the collection. And you know, I think this watch and the SLA017 are like the perfect duo in the vintage reissue space. I mean, I think they're both perfect. And also these are, you know, two of the very most iconic designs, I would say, for Seiko divers. Having these are kind of like the perfect divers in your Seiko collection. I would say the only one missing would be a reissue of a Tuna, which I believe should be coming in the following years. And that would be like the perfect trifecta of Seiko divers. But just beautiful watch, guys. Amazing quality. I would even go as far as to say that the quality on this feels even nicer than my SLA017 by just a smidge. I'm not sure what it is. I think this one might have that ever bright steel. That's also the reason why this one cost more than the SLA017, despite the SLA017 also coming with a steel bracelet. And you can just see the markers playing in the light, and it's just so nice. Very shiny, but very nice. But the hands and markers, everything is just so beautifully done and so well polished. Really love this one, guys. All right, so what do you guys think of this watch? Let me know in the comments below. See you guys next time.